Trade Secrets with Jacob McBee here on Bernie Radio. It's brought to you by My Favorite Service Company, myfavoriteservicecompany.com. Back in the house here again. I'm Baron Wiley. This is Jacob McBee, the owner and the president of. Are you living the dream right now? Is this what you've worked your whole life for, doing myfavoriteservicecompany.com?
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. Having a blast. I enjoy serving the customer. I enjoy working with the team. I enjoy, discussing with you. I enjoy giving to the community. I just enjoy everything about it. I'm definitely living the dream, having a blast, and very, very thankful for it.
And we are broadcasting live from the Bevy Hotel here in their beautiful lobby here. We got coffee making in the background, so if you hear the grinder going off, help yourself. Might inspire you to enjoy a cup. But we're in Bernie, Texas. You're kind of sweet spot. You're covering all the hill country, right?
Yeah, we've got all the hill country, northern San Antonio, New Braunfels, all the way back, down to Cibolo, Shirts, just
Sure.
all that area there. And we have customers that we service here, but they've got vacation homes in LBJ over Lake Travis, and so we will travel outside of the standard area also, because sometimes people require a higher level of service, or they just need that second opinion, and we're happy to provide that. So yeah.
And you take it very seriously too, because your catchphrase, your motto is, "Our promise is in the name."
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, we want to be your favorite, and we don't want to be your favorite because we have a good conversation, but because your experience with us is your favorite, and in all you've ever experienced in anything. Even like the Bevy Hotel, you come here and the people are so great, and the service is great, and everything is excellent, and so maybe that's your favorite hotel, but we want to be your favorite heating, air conditioning service company, and so our promise is the name when we say we're going to do all we can to serve you, to make my favorite service company my favorite service company.
Brilliant. I just love it. I love it. All right, so on the last episode here, and you can go find all these podcasts at bernieradio.com. You're going to find them on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Apple and Google, and all the places where you find radio shows and podcasts. But last episode, man, we've just barely scratched the surface. We wanted to cover the topic of maintenance, which, again, will save you thousands of dollars. That's kind of the idea of this program. It's called Trade Secrets. So we're going to give you some insight here with the man, Jacob McBee. But I think we need to start from the top on, man, if I want to save a lot of money, if I don't want to sleep all night long like I did last week with my AC off, you have some ideas.
Absolutely. Let's go through a checklist, and again, I'll reiterate this over and over again. This show I wanted to do was not to benefit me. This show was to benefit the people listening, to the customers out there that are needing the service in some form or fashion. And we want to cover, questions on plumbing and electrical and other things too, because I want everybody to have a good, comfortable feeling whenever they have service done, because I can't get to everybody. We won't be able to service every customer, and we won't be able to get to every one of them as fast as they always need. And so sometimes others are going to use other companies, and that's perfectly understandable and perfectly acceptable. I understand that. I just want everybody out there that's going to be getting that done to understand what they should look for, what they should expect, and have a higher level of understanding and education when it comes to having their home maintained or maintaining their home, because it gets extensive. And so we want to give this information out to the people out there in the public for their benefit and for their family's benefit, and make sure that they understand what they're getting. So you can always visit the website. It's www.myfavoriteservicecompany.com. Again, myfavoriteservicecompany.com. You can go in there to our contact section. You can send in simple questions, and we'll get right back to you as soon as possible. Or you can also dive in and get a lot of information detail there. And if you're not savvy with the internet and you just want to make a phone call, by all means, 830-212-4222. Call us up. Ask us your questions, and if we need to, we'll come out and free. Second opinions are always free. Happy to come out and do comparisons and just help you out and answer questions and be the best server that we can to you and your needs.
Can I guess what one of the maintenance tips might be? Because this is all I ever do, and that would be change the filter, right?
Yeah.
All right. So something happened here in the last 10 years, I guess, or whatever. For some reason, 20 years ago, you can get a pack of filters for like $10. Mm-hmm. And then one day I went to the store, and all of a sudden one filter was $20.
Right.
Or $30. What happened?
Yeah. So there's efficiency ratings inside of filters, and they call it a MERV rating. So, yes, you can buy a $20 or $30 or even more expensive filter, and a lot of those are going to be good for your air conditioner. But on the other hand, a lot of them aren't always good for your air conditioner because whenever you increase the efficiency of that filter, you increase its density. As you increase its density to catch more of the dirt, you're also preventing more air from flying through or from getting through, excuse me. So it's almost the opposite effect where you go buy this really expensive filter and you're hoping to catch more dirt, but it's giving you the same effect as what your dirty filter did because it's not allowing the air to flow through.
Aha.
So every system has really got it. It almost needs the filter specific to it to make sure that they match. And especially in today's world where we have different types of air conditioners with different types of motors, it's very important not to overwork those motors because in doing so, you get the opposite effect of what you're looking for. Your efficiency goes down, your compressors have more troubles, you have premature failures, and you're calling in for warranties and other problems, and it's just it can be bad. So be careful on that, do some research, and make sure that you're getting the right filters. But if you just really aren't sure, you go kind of middle of the road and say somewhere around a MERV 10 rating, most air conditioners will work okay. So again, if you're at the Home Depot or the Lowe's or the local hardware store or wherever you may choose to pick things up, as far as the filter is concerned, kind of stick with the middle of the road. I would say MERV 10 area, you should be okay. You start going above that into the 12s, the 13s, you can cause adverse effects, and you can cause your air conditioner to struggle in ways that they shouldn't.
So you think just if you think I need to pay more, you don't need to. You just need to get the right one and do your research.
Paying more doesn't always give you more.
And Jacob, again, I'm not smart. That concludes my knowledge of my maintenance on my air conditioning. So what else should I know?
Yeah. So in a past segment we talked about the amount of water that an air conditioner can produce. It's upwards of 20 gallons of water a day, depending on the weather, humidity, and things out there. So in producing 20 gallons of water, that's four of those buckets, 5-gallon buckets full of water.
Yeah.
If you can imagine setting four of those together, how much water that really is in a single day, it can be big problems. And the big problem with that is that you leave to work in the morning and you don't get home until the evening. Well, you never even had an opportunity to know that water was causing you an issue, killing your sheetrock, hardwood floors and things. So we want to make sure that we go through and thoroughly check the drain system and make sure that it's draining correctly, and not only that it's draining correctly, that it's cleaned out correctly, that it's put together correctly, because different systems require different types of drains as far as vents and traps and things of this nature, because some systems are electric, which they have a negative airflow, which you have to do special things for them, and some are positive airflow, which you have to make sure things are done for those also. And then with those two things being said, there's also safety systems that you can put onto the drain systems to make sure.
That saved my life, by the way.
That, yeah.
Last week.
Yes. Yeah, it's correct. Your air conditioner went down because of that.
My pan filled up, the sensor shut it off, and then all of a sudden we had no AC, but it did exactly what it was supposed to do. So hallelujah, I could have had water all over my floor.
Yeah. It's a bad position to be in, but it could have been worse.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have things like that we can put in there, and we also make sure that we test those if we are at the house, because they are mechanical and they do go bad, and sometimes you can have that problem. You thought you had a sensor and it happens not to work. So we check that. We check the sensors. Next, we're going to look at the cleanliness of the air conditioner. We're going to look at the filters like you just talked about. We're going to look at the return air, the blower motor, the evaporator coil. We're going to make sure all those things are clean and in good shape. And we carry special cameras on the truck. They're almost like a microscopic camera that gets into the little screw holes of the air conditioner, so we don't have to take the whole thing apart and cause other damage. We can get in there and we can look at the evaporator coil. That's actually one of the pictures that's required for the guys in the field whenever they're serving the air conditioners, to make sure that they do that, and then they'll share those with you so that you will see, is your evaporator coil clean, or is it dirty, or is it maybe somewhere in between. The blower motor is very important. The blower wheel itself is actually like a cupping effect. So it's not like a standard fan. There's little bitty blades that have little cups in them, and they actually cup the air and they push that across the evaporator coil. As that happens, what the evaporator coil is doing is the refrigerant process. It's taking that heat from the house with the refrigerant and taking it to the outside unit, and then it's going to do another job out there. And if that airflow decreases, you begin to have other problems. And as that continues to go on, you cause bigger and bigger problems. And so we want those to all be good and clean. Not to mention that's the air you're breathing. So you want that fresh, clean, and healthy. You don't want it, still sick and dirty. And so those are three very important things to look at just on the cleanliness of the indoor equipment.
Well, hold on before you go to the next one. I don't know what you were going to do there, but I want to go back to you saying checking the filters and making sure those are clean. Well, again, that's something I can do, but how often should I do that? Does it depend on the filter?
It depends on the filter, and it also depends on the house. So, whenever we install a new air conditioning system with my favorite service company, we install our Forever Clean 365, and that's a filter that should last 365 days. And we promise that if you have that installed in your air conditioning system, which we keep those in every single air conditioning system, that your coil and your blower motor will forever be clean, or we'll clean it for free.
Wow!
But that filter is something that's available and sometimes installed in air conditioning systems, and so that one only gets changed out about once a year. And then sometimes you have that same exact filter, but you have a house, maybe like mine, where I've got a couple of dogs, and that dog hair
and two cats, by the way.
Yeah, and so that filter may fill up just a little faster, and so you gotta check that. So your household is going to vary on your household is going to determine the filtering and also the filter type that you have. And some of these 1-inch filters, depending on the house, they may only be good for 2 weeks. So you just got to keep an eye on that. You got to kind of monitor it. And then my suggestion is, whenever you change your filter, take your magic marker and mark on there the date.
Aha!
Because you're going to forget.
Right.
And then in your calendar on your smartphone, or if you have an old school calendar on the wall, which I have both, make you a mark also on that one there.
Good idea.
These are good ideas because these are things we forget, but they're so very important.
Yeah. It's like vacuuming and not emptying your bag,
Yes.
You can only vacuum so much and get so much dirt. Yep. All right, hold your thoughts on the next one, because we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and knock out some more great ideas, these great tips, including that last one. It's Jacob McBee. It is Trade Secrets with Jacob McBee. I'm Baron Wiley here on Bernie Radio, and it's brought to you by my favorite service company, myfavoriteservicecompany.com. We'll be right back.
If you like and appreciate the tips and discussions we've had here and feel that's added some value, please go below and hit the like button for us. You'd be doing us a huge favor. In addition, if you'd go below and just make a comment, that's a great gauge for us to continue to bring great trade secrets to you right here on Real Trade Secrets.
And welcome back to Trade Secrets here on Bernie Radio. Trade Secrets with Jacob McBee. It's brought to you by my favorite service company, myfavoriteservicecompany.com. And again, we're just kind of getting a clinic here, if you will, from, I called you Dr. Jacob. Is that okay before there? Because you're kind of the expert here. I hope you don't mind.
No, that's perfectly fine.
We were coming up with a maintenance plan for you. We've covered a couple so far. So just to recap, we talked about changing your filters. That's one. What was the other one we just talked about?
Maintaining your drain system, making sure that's clear.
All right. And then we're going to pick up where we left off. So dig back in, my friend.
Absolutely. So we talked about the cleanness of the evaporator coil, the blower motor, and we talked about the air filters, and all those things are prior to your duct system. And so another thing that we inspect is your duct system, and we're going to inspect several things there. So we want to inspect the cleanliness, obviously, to make sure that it's clean. But sometimes we see that it's dirty, and when we see a dirty duct system, that can be caused from a couple of things.
Okay.
And that's through leaky duct work. And so you have two different problems.
Is that from critters getting in the attic and going through, or what?
That could be one. That could be one.
All right.
They're looking for that cool, comfortable air too.
All right.
Sometimes
Have you found anything fun like that?
Oh yeah.
What'd you find?
We can go into terror stories there. From snakes to raccoons to your general little mouse that scares you almost just as bad, because when you're
Surprise.
in the attic, you just don't. Yeah, those surprises. Yeah, we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot.
All right.
And
living or dead or both?
both. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Many years ago, I had about like a 6-foot rat snake.
Oh my!
Which
are the good kind, but still, a snake is a snake.
It was, yeah. Especially when you're in the attic working on the air conditioner, you don't expect that one. But anyhow,
and you screamed like a little girl.
No, of course not. But when we're inspecting the ductwork, there's several things to consider there. So you have big gaping holes. Those big gaping holes are going to be the ones that are going to let the air out of the air conditioning system into your attic. So then, inevitably, you're paying to cool your attic. So we want to make sure we look for those and that we catch those and we correct those, fix those, and take care of those for you. And then we have the cleanliness of the ductwork. We want to make sure we look at that, and if it's a big problem, we want to give some options and look at ways to fix that, because that's the air you're breathing, and you want it to be clean, fresh, and healthy. Because once it's in your duct system, there's no more filtering past that. Whatever's in there is what's coming out, and whatever's coming out is what you're breathing. So we want to keep a good close eye on those things. But a lot of times we find that the ductwork is dirty because of the little small cracks and crevices that you don't see. And the air in your air conditioning system is blowing through there at such a high rate, 2,000 CFM. And those little cracks and crevices, what actually happens is you create a vacuum effect. That air flows through there so quickly, it actually doesn't go out the little crack and crevice. It actually pulls the dirty air in from the attic. They call it a Venturi effect or a vacuum effect. And so that's a lot of times where we find that duct system has gotten
Which is the
dirty.
dirtiest room in the house.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so we want to look for those things. We want to make sure that we take initiative to check each and every little connection and go through those and look at them and again take pictures of it and then come down and make sure we share those things with you, because you want that peace of mind. Just like when you go to the doctor, you get your blood pressure checked and everything else. You want that report back from the doctor that says yes, everything is good. You don't want to just pay the money and then you walk out and say, well, I guess it's good because you didn't tell me nothing.
Right.
We want to make sure we go over those with you and tell you good, bad, or in between.
Good.
Yep. So inspecting the ductwork is hugely important, and that's part of our checklist that we go through and making sure all three of those are inspected. Also, we want to check the thermostat. The air conditioning systems today are hugely complicated. Many of them are actually like miniature computers that run those air conditioners. And what we find is a lot of times we'll go to these homes, and the air conditioner's been installed, and the thermostat has not been configured to the air conditioning system, and the two of them are not connecting correctly. So it's running, but it's not running at peak efficiency the way it's supposed to.
Does this have to do with the house grade, the home builder just putting in the cheapest one? Is that what the mismatch is?
It's never my job to assume why something does
Okay.
somebody has something wrong. It's only my job to make sure everybody knows how to fix things that could go wrong. So I have no idea on that side, but I can tell you that they definitely need to be checked, and we do that on every single call, and I suggest it be done every call, and it's going in there and verifying that it's been programmed and that it matches the air conditioning system correctly so that it's configured correctly.
Brilliant.
So, very important.
Let me ask you this, because mine's that Nest thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to endorse or not endorse there too, but I mean, am I doing that right? Could I have problems? Could I have the wrong one with the best one?
You can have the wrong thermostat on the wrong air conditioning, and they won't match up correctly. That can always happen. As far as giving a favorite, we have ones that we suggest, and that's because we found that they work the best. And we only use field-tested, time-tested parts and materials at My Favorite Service Company. But everybody has a preference. And, I could tell you that my favorite's a Chevy, and you can argue that yours has always been a Ford.
That's right.
And and that doesn't make either of us right or wrong. It's just our opinion. And so thermostats are as much as, they are as correct as you feel they are correct, but we just need to verify that they are connected correctly, configured correctly. But if you prefer the Nest over the Cincy or the this over the that, that's okay. That's your choice.
I'm not a fan.
Well, we should do something about
We should.
that.
Awesome. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, so another thing to consider, and so I'll kind of dive off separately on this one here, but I want to talk about testing the electrical connections and making sure that they're good and tight and they're all put together correctly, and that the kernies and the wire nuts and all those things are correct for what the wire types are, because you don't just connect one wire to the next with anything and you expect it to be okay. That's just not how it works. In the world of electricity, you have a flow, just like water, just like air and anything else. And if you don't have just the right connection, those wire connections are going to vibrate. They're going to become more loose. They're going to cause heat and they're going to cause friction. And those are the things that start fires and kill motors and overheat this and cause much bigger problems that you don't want. So not just on the air conditioner, but if you haven't had your electrical home, if the electrical system for your home inspected, call somebody and have that done. Make sure that you don't have, things overheated, that you don't have breakers overheating, and that you don't have other problems going on. And of course, if you're unsure as to who to call, you can always call us. I have a handful of great guys that I've worked many, many years with that I would suggest, and I use on a regular basis to help our customers. And so I always suggest to have that checked. And the older the home, again, the more important that is. And if your home is older and has aluminum, so much more important. And I didn't mean to get sidetracked there, but these are trade secrets, and these are things that people really need to know and understand, is that these things can only get worse. And so if you haven't had them checked, you need to have them checked. And just a standard connection is not always just a standard connection, because there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to do these things.
I never even thought of calling one company to get a recommendation to get for another company, but that's again the service that you offer, because you're looking at the whole and taking care of all your clients.
Yes, yeah. Again, our job is to be your favorite service company, so that whenever somebody asks you, who do you call, you say my favorite service company. Our promise, is in the name. And so we don't always have what you need, but I want to have the answers for you. And so if you need a good plumber or an electrical guy, or whatever the case may be, just call us up and ask us. We want to be your friends. We want to be part of your family. We want you to be part of our family. And so never hesitate to call us or get online at myfavoriteservicecompany.com and contact us on that one. And we'll just shoot us an email, and we'll get you back the details and information to help you out and answer your questions.
Time for one more? You got one more in you?
Oh, we have plenty more.
Plenty
more. And again, I'll say it again and again and again, because some people haven't been listening to the entire segment here, but never be opposed to getting online and getting this information, and or sending us an email, and we would be happy to send you these lists. And maybe if we've got a guy out there, he's an air conditioning guy too, and he'd like to compare his list to my list, and just like to get a copy of it. Then you know what? Just contact me, and I'm happy to share it, because then we're benefiting the customer at the end of the day. And maybe you've got that customer that's only going to call you. Well, hopefully you can get something from me so you can serve them better, and that's what our job is.
All right.
The outdoor equipment, we can get into so much more detail there, but I'll just quickly say that your outdoor equipment carries the refrigerant from the inside to the outside, and that's through the refrigerant process that you exchange the heat. So the heat goes from the inside of the house through the refrigerant to the outside. So in the summertime, if you ever put your hand over the air conditioner outside, the condenser,
right,
you'll see that it's warm, hot air out there. And that is what is coming through your house, through the refrigerant process. So you got cold air inside, it comes in hot, goes through the evaporator coil, and then it comes out cool. That's conditioned air. And we condition that air through the refrigerant process, and that outdoor unit's doing its job. And you can imagine in the heat of the summer, and we talked about it last segment, an average air conditioner is traveling about 150,000 miles when you compare it to the runtime of a car driving 60 miles per hour. That condenser outside is really doing a whole lot of work, and it needs to be clean, and it needs to be tight, and it needs to have all the electrical connections put together well, and all the screws put back in it, and it needs to be put together in a as close to factory fresh condition as possible, as often as possible throughout the year, at least once, sometimes twice a year, depending on its age. And the reason being is because it's doing so much work with so much heat. Baron, if you just imagine, take driving your car at, again, that 60 miles an hour in a 100-degree day in San Antonio, and driving down the highway from Bernie to San Antonio, and then putting a quilt over the radiator.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be long and your car would be overheated.
And that quilt's ruined too.
Well, if you didn't know and you just kept driving because you didn't pay attention to the gauges or anything like that, it wouldn't be long and you'd be one of those cars on the side of the road with the steam coming out of the motor.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the same thing that can happen to your air conditioning system if you don't make sure that it's clean. And so I could really go into all the bits and pieces, and I'm happy to give you these details and information if you go on our website or you want to call us. But it's just imagine driving your car down the highway at 60 miles an hour or whatever speed you're driving on a 100-degree day with a quilt over the radiator. It's just going to be bad news for you. So make sure that we take care of all those things and keep those all tight and connected and put together. And if you're just unsure, let's just say again, you had somebody out and they did a service for you, and you didn't see them doing something on the outdoor unit, or you didn't see them cleaning it, or whatever the case may be. Call us out. I'll give you a free second opinion. We'll go out there. We'll inspect it. We'll determine if it is okay. We'll do the full third-party verification. We'll inspect exactly how it's going through the computerized monitoring systems. We'll tell you if it's okay or if it's not okay. And if it's not, then maybe you can call them back. They'll fix it. Or if not, then we'll be there and we'll be happy to take care of it for you.
This is why. Can you hear the passion, ladies and gentlemen? Here it's Jacob McBee, Trade Secrets with Jacob McBee, here on Bernie Radio. Jacob, we're out of time. Just goes
My-
by like that.
MyFavoriteServiceCompany.com. We're here for you. Happy to take care of you. And it's always such a pleasure. And I feel like sometimes we're just rambling, but I just really hope that
it's
we're
passion.
getting through to help people out and serve the community as best as possible.
Well, that's what you're doing. And so, again, I thank you for being a part of this program and for what you're doing in the Hill Country and what's to come.
Absolutely. It's always my pleasure.
MyFavoriteServiceCompany.com.